He has risen. He has risen. The image says it all. Finally, our marquee signing of the summer is here. And so is a brand new week at Highbury Squad Central. It's Monday Madness. And boy, get your popcorn ready because do we have a treat for you.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Good evening, boys and girls. Happy Monday. Happy July 4 to all of my fellow living in America, Americans or expats are celebrating today the independence from the place I used to live. Well, Super Kev, help me out here. I'm conflicted. Welcome back to the show, my podcast brother.
Yes, happy Independence Day. I must say, squaddies, respect our brethren and sisterin across the pond, obviously, for their Independence Day. Happy 4th of July. Squaddies, good to see ya. And we got a main man down here, as you can see, at ease. And let's get into it. Go on, Soph.
It wouldn't be Monday Madness without a little madness in the house. And today we welcome the founder. And you can also find him on AFTV and many other podcasts. Contributing his Arsenal expertise and connoisseurism is Mr. Lee Judges. Welcome back to the show.
I like that.
What an intro that is.
Connoisseurism, I like that, I tell you.
What an intro. Listen, before we start, what a great thing. We've got two great songs come back for the Arsenal. Of course, we've got the Vieira one back, and I think my favourite one, instead of Giroud, it's Jesus now, isn't it? Or Jesus, what? La, 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 la,
yeah.
la, 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 Jesus.
I like that one. Don't you think there was an opportunity to... I'd like our listeners to have a stab at the Carrie Underwood song, Jesus Take the Wheel. I don't know if you guys know that one, but it's a country song. Which could catch on.
Give us a go of it then, Sophie.
Jesus, take the wheel, take it by the hands, 'cause I can't do it on my own. There's something there. It could be anthemy, right? And then maybe the other one, Mr. Gianni Judges and the legend, is Depeche Mode, your own personal Jesus.
I like that one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, how about Phil Collins one? You know the one where he's
in the air tonight.
He loves me. Jesus, he loves me, and it feels all right. I've been talking to Jesus all my life. Jesus,
what song is that?
Loves me. Yeah, it's. I think I'm sure it's Phil Collins. Phil Collins, definitely Phil Collins.
Is that a lyric from? Yes, Jesus, he knows.
He knows me or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's going to be some good ones here, aren't there? Some good songs.
Maybe we'll do a poll across all the shows. It would be totally fun. Right, here we are. It's Monday Madness. Finally, the big man has been revealed. Here he is with the gaffer. Here he is looking really cool in the Arsenal gear. Let's face it. Here he is with his other G's. Maybe this is another opportunity for someone in the Arsenal universe to create, I don't know, instead of the Great Gatsby, the Great Gabbies, there's an opportunity here. I don't know, the 3 Gabbies instead of the degrees.
3 G's. 3 G's.
3 G's.
3 G's.
Super Kev, you are on the wall of Arsenal strikers who have had a massive impact and iconic moments at the club. This was done by goal.com, actually, which I really loved, pointing to the wall. I love it. Super Kev, I'll start with you. Finally revealed. Is he one of the strikers that make you happy to be striker? And by the way, look, just for Gianni, it's July 4 here, so we have a mini pint, Super Kev.
Look at that.
The teeny tiniest pint you've ever seen in your life.
I love it.
By the way, you can't call it a pint, can you? Is that a Lee Judges pint?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant.
That's a Lee Judges pint. All right. I'll tell you what, Soph, Lee. There are a lot of strikers out there who we get linked to, but there aren't many strikers out there who has got the resume this lad's got. There aren't a lot of strikers who has got the knowledge and the experience of the Premier League like this lad's got. There aren't many strikers out there who are young enough to come into this team and really make a difference with that experience. And let's be honest, Man City offered him a contract. It could have been easy to sign there and just pick up trophies and pick up his money and not be the man, but be involved at Manchester City. But many people beat Mikel Arteta over the head because, we haven't got Champions League football. We can't get these players. But Mikel Arteta leveraged the knowledge that he had and the work that he's done with some of these guys to get him to our football club. There's other clubs who are interested in him who had Champions League football, Sophie, but we got him. And you know what? I am delighted with this signing because I think he needs us as much as we need him.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
I love that point, Kev, because I feel like it's two worlds colliding at the right time. Phil McNulty, the chief football writer at the BBC, wrote to me and he said it feels like it's what the club, but all the clubs want and the player. It's like a very unique kind of signing. I'm going to read these out to you. My cousin, who lives in Adelaide, Australia, this is how far the show goes, and also the Premier League goes as well, Lee, she is a mad Manchester City fan. And I said to her, tell me 3 things that we should be happy about signing Gabriel Jesus. He's going to be your leading assist goal shooter. He's also a great midfielder. Number 2, he has worked extremely hard in his soccer career and it's paid off. He never gives up on the ball. Number 3, he's an overall star player and he'll be an amazing asset to Arsenal Football Club. I'm going to miss him. Jesus is an absolute legend for me. What is it to you? And I also have seen many and a lot of my friends who love Manchester City. They give this their blessing, and he had a lot of love from a lot of City fans.
Yeah, I think he did. I couldn't agree with that more. I think his work rate has always been very, very good, and also there were probably a little bit of doubts before, obviously because he's not been a regular at Man City. But the last sort of month and a half when it really mattered, he was in the team most weeks. Funny enough, when he sort of got linked with Arsenal, and I sort of thought, well, I'll have a good look at him and watch him in those sort of games. And he was very impressive. Scored, was it 4 against, I can't remember, Watford, was it? And looked really, really good. So, listen, I've gone on record saying that, I would have liked for Arsenal to get Richarlison. I liked him. I've obviously watched quite a bit of Everton because of, Kevin's connections with that, and I quite liked him. But I think after assessing it and having a little look at it, it got nothing to do with that he's gone there. I feel that Richarlison is probably a player that would suit a counter-attacking team. But we're more of a possession-based side, and I think that's where Jesus comes into his own a little bit more. The goal side of things, we're not sure. We'll have to see what happens there. But I think that linking the play and things like that is something that Mikel likes, and that's something that what I've seen of him, and he looks very, very good at doing that.
Okay, so for me, Super Kev, he becomes our marquee signing. Now, this is going to be a conversation that's going to go on, and so I want to nip it in the bud on our show because we're not going to do this throughout next season. At least I'm going to try. When I say I'm going to try and do something, it probably doesn't happen. Okay?
Okay, go on.
Okay,
go on.
So I've got both your takes on the Jesus announcement. Number 2, it's already started, is the comparisons between these two. I wanted you guys to look at these numbers. When I sent this to my Spurs supporting cousin, been very busy on WhatsApp today, guys. They give me look who he's playing with, look who Richarlison was playing with. But when you look at those minutes played, Kev, I'm going to start with you as the striker who's done it. And also the minutes per goal, I'm sure that's maths ratio to the minutes played, of course. But he has had to sit back and watch Aguero be the superstar. He's also had great starts when he's been chosen in the first 11. Can we put this to bed? 25 years old, both of them. Jesus is the one that heralds the number 9 shirt for Brazil. I think we've got a phenomenal deal at 45 million, and Tottenham overpaid a little bit at their 60.
look, I think it's all relevant, to be honest, Sophie. I don't think, look, I think, truthfully, I think this season's going to prove we got the balaclavas out again. I'm telling you, at 45 million quid for Gabriel Jesus, I'll tell you, it's a steal. That is cheap money. That is really cheap. Richarlison, 50, 60 million, I think is about right, if I'm honest with you, with the way things are going, with what he's done, with the way he carried Everton on his back. I think we've got the steal of the summer. I really do. I think 45 million is cheap for Gabriel Jesus. I'll tell you what the stats show, Sophie, because whether you play with better players or not, you still have to be able to do the business.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to cut it. And a lot of the time, he doesn't start through the middle. He starts in different positions. And one thing we always see, when it comes down to the very big games, Jesus plays. Pep Guardiola, back end of last season, when the very biggest games come, Jesus played. Liverpool, Real Madrid, all these. Gabriel Jesus played in those games. So we trust him. He trusts him wherever he plays. He knows what he's going to get. You're going to get a performance. You're going to get a work rate. You're going to get quality. We've got that for 45 million. I still, honestly, so I think that is a steal. I think Richarlison 60 million or whatever it is Spurs paid. Fair enough. I think that's the going rate. But I think we got away with one here.
I think so too. Lee, I totally agree with Kev. I think the deal is incredible considering who he played for, who he played with, the games and the high-profile moments that he was in, what he can bring to the Arsenal dressing room, what he can bring to the pitch as well. There's going to be this comparison all season. Let's prepare for it. We can nip it in the bud here on the show because, as I said, I'm going to really try not to do it. Richarlison versus Jesus at this point. I personally, from a character point of view as well, and behaviour on the pitch, I'm happier that we have GJ versus King Charles.
I like that though. I do like that little bit of thing. Yeah, that's one of the reasons probably that I like Richarlison, because he was a little bit like that. I think that we need to have a little bit of that, little bit skullduggery. I like it. You know what I mean? A little bit about him. I like all those sort of players. I always have done, like, you know. But listen, the fact of the matter is, Spurs went in for Jesus as well at first. That's who they wanted to go for as well, because of obviously like the price and everything like that. But he said that he was going to go to Arsenal. So Tottenham, okay, they said, all right, we're going to spend the money on Richarlison. I think they're two completely different players, if I'll be honest. One plays like as a on a counter-attacking game, and plays off the shoulder a little bit. And I think he's a very, very good player, Richarlison. I've got to say that. But Jesus is a little bit different. I think they're being compared. Two reasons: they're both Brazilian, but it's Arsenal and Spurs, isn't it? That's the thing about it. I also seen how he took his place in Brazil and everything like that. Listen, I don't care about what goes on in Brazil. If you want my honest opinion, Jack Grealish doesn't get in the England side. That's nothing to do with because he's a better player than so and so. It's down to the manager. The manager might be a clown. I don't know, but at the end of it. Thierry Henry, this is how I look at it, was struggling a little bit at Juventus when he went there, and look what happened to him. So I think at the end of the day, look, every transfer is a gamble, every one. So we've got Jesus. Let's be happy with Jesus. I ain't going to be comparing him with Richarlison if he scores how many goals and whatever. The fact of the matter is that Richarlison probably won't play as many games as Jesus next season, if I'll be honest. In the Premier League, I mean, I think that a lot of times Spurs contingent have been going, what happens if Kane gets injured? Now they've got no worries because he'll come in there, So for me, look, what I want is he's got a chance to get off the mark in that game against Palace, so he's up first. Get in there, Jesus, and get.
Look at that, the redeemer. Look at that.
Yeah, it's quality. I'll tell you what, I'm going to say with Arsenal,
Love it,
I
man.
must. Did it take him a whole week to come up with that? I don't know, but it was very good. Like, you know,
They kept us waiting, Lee, didn't they?
I
They kept us
was
waiting.
I'm not for sure, but
Lee, I don't know who did this one as well, but this was on Twitter today.
it's quality.
It's so good. I'm here for all this stuff.
Yeah, I love all that stuff. Listen, this is what's good about it and everything. You know, so I look at it now. We've got a good deal, haven't we? I think Kevin's right on that because he's got a year left of his contract. It's a good deal for us. And what do you know? What makes me more happy than anything else? And it gets on my nerves. And when people say, "Oh, it's all about Champions League football," he wants to come to Arsenal. It's not because of Champions League football. It's not because of this and that. We know he's come to the Arsenal because it's the Arsenal. And I'll tell you what, within 6 weeks, he'll realise what it's like playing for a big club.
How big the club
is.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's nothing against Manchester City because they are a big club, but they're nowhere near as big as Arsenal as far as what's gone on in that. The reason they're where they are is now because of what the money's been pumped in. Arsenal, proper football club, welcome.
I love that. And I always use this as a comparison. So I'm glad you brought it up, Lee. And let me just clarify. Manchester City are doing really big things, but they're a smaller club than Arsenal. Arsenal are a really big club, not doing many things in the league right now. We became a cup team over the last few years. So the goal is to change that trajectory. Okay, so we've talked about Jesus. We can't have two phone callers. We just cannot have.
Why not? Why not? No, Soph, why not? Why can't we?
Come on.
Why can't we, Soph? Do you know what? I want them all to be calling. I'm telling you, because if they're all calling, that means we're scoring goals. So I don't care who picks up the phone. I don't care. Pick the phone up.
Super Kev, are you saying that potentially next season there could be an entirely new campaign? Yes. Maybe a sponsorship deal with some type of network even.
Do you remember back in the day, Busby? Do you remember Busby? It was Busby on the phone. Get Jesus picking that phone up. Get Eddie picking that phone up. Get the two Gabbies picking that phone up. Get them all. Call Brazil, mate. I'm telling you, do it all. Because if we're celebrating, if they're picking that phone up, that means we are doing well. That's what I want.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. I hear what you're saying. I think it could become a thing. We'll get the. I
want Mikel picking the phone up. Pick it up.
All right, here we go to number 3. So, with all that said, we've talked about Jesus. Finally, it's announced he joins Vieira, Marquinhos, of course, the re-signing of Nketiah, Matt Turner's arrival. We're not going to talk about the potentials today, although they might come up towards the end of the show. I know there's a lot of players that we're obsessed with, and this is the show that's going to try and focus on who's here now. So with that said, the top third talking point of the 5th, and we'll start with you, judges. What's going to happen with Bellerin, Maitland-Niles, Cedric, Holding, Mari, Reece Nelson even, maybe. And it's a 2-pronged 3, because Kev knows I love those. Should we be worried about a bigger name moving on? There's a lot coming in. We know we reduced the wage bill in January. There's some room to maneuver. Kev's talked about FFP on the show before and how we have to play the game very carefully. Magic Mike just did a brilliant financial show, if you missed it, on the Gooners pod, talking about where all the money's coming from. Mr. Judges, what happens to all this lot? And I have a fear that they're going to sell us a Bellerin's good enough to start again. But talk to me about this mess of who's still there.
No, I honestly think I think Bellerin's done now. I think that's stick a fork in him. He's done. I think Cedric's playing left back at the moment. So yeah, so we Tierney's out at this moment in time. Tierney's not starting the season. So if we're not going to bring in a left-sided defender to start the season, you're going to have to look at playing maybe Cedric there. So I don't think that he'll be going. Maitland-Niles, I think another one. I think that these guys haven't done themselves real. I think Bellerin's done okay, but Maitland-Niles hasn't done himself any justice on his loan move or anything like that. So I think it's going to be very, very hard to find clubs for him. I think Leno will go, when he so I think that I think Nelson done okay, but I'd like to see Nelson probably go back on loan, but to a Premier League club to see what he's really about. I looked at him when he first came into the Arsenal side. I thought, oh, he looked a really good player, but he's never quite progressed like Saka has. Saka has, and Emil Smith Rowe. So it'll be very, very interesting on that. I can't see Bellerin staying. And listen, the fact of the matter is, as Kevin will tell you this, they're all contracted to Arsenal at the moment, so they're obliged to train at the moment to get themselves fit. So Arsenal will also be looking at them as assets, get them fit to sell them. So I think that's what will happen. I don't see any way back for them. I think even in the Premier League, and Saliba's got the number 2, so Bellerin ain't even got the number 2. So I think it's writing on the wall.
Okay, so I forgot to add Leno to that. Super Kev, you got Bellerin, 5 million at best. Maitland-Niles could have had 22. Now what do you get? 10. You got Torreira. What does he yield? Does he yield an 8? Pepe. What do we get for Pepe? People are talking 20. I think we'll get 15 at best. Reece Nelson, maybe he stays or goes. Holding, still up for grabs, potentially. Mari, is he 5 million? Leno, do we get 15 for him? This squad rebuild that you've been talking about, Kev, that we need the 8 players, this turnkey, some of these players have just got to go, of those that I've mentioned, who stays. But is it a stumbling block in terms of how we move forward? No excuses for you in the transfer window?
Yeah, I don't think there's any excuses, Soph. I think, listen, we've been accused in the past of selling the players and getting rid of players before bringing players in. Now we're doing it the other way. Don't worry about the ones that are there, because you know what? The ones that are there who do have no futures, they know they've got no futures. Lads who have been on loan, who Bellerin had a good loan at Betis. Obviously, he wanted to stay at Betis, but Betis can't pay the money. Betis haven't got the money. Torreira at Fiorentina, he wanted to stay. Fiorentina said they'll sign him. Don't have the money. So these players, at the end of the day, probably later on in the window, will get shifted out. Either they'll be sold or they'll get loaned out. So unfortunately, this is the way of the world now. If you can't sell them, you're going to have to just loan them out and let somebody else take either all or some of the wage burden.
Are you saying they become more bad debts, Kev? Some of them, maybe.
Well, it's not really bad debt, Soph, but the problem is it's tough out there to sell some of these players. So, and this is our recruitment and the way things have been at Arsenal coming back to bite us a little bit. Because here's the thing. A club like Arsenal, do you buy players with the resale value? No, what we've got to be doing is buying players that will come in and do the job so we can get up there. But if it doesn't work out, has resale value. Because if they're doing the business at Arsenal, we don't want to sell anyone. But that's been our problem in the past. We've signed players because they look good, but, you know, other teams have to want you. That's the market. It's all very well saying, oh, it'll be good. But if you've got no resale value, you're struggling. So we can get money for Leno. We can get money for some of the players. But it might not be what we want, so. But you know what? Let's just clear the decks. Yeah. Let's clear it.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're Pepe now, you know, like you're trying to get Rafinha in and all that. The writing's on the wall, you know, get out.
He's like a Vlahovic to me. All he wanted to do was go to Barcelona.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, we're just a vehicle. And did we really want him? I'm not sure. But we're definitely in that game. You know, I think for us, we've got to get rid, at some point, this deadwood has to go. And it's kind of like the sixth man, Kev, in basketball. you've got to have an option off the bench. It can't just be fillers. And it feels like we've had fillers for a really, really long time.
Great point.
Right? There's a reason there's an award for the 6th man in basketball. 440 of you in live chat. Please do caress, nut, butt, or kiss that like button. Otherwise, I'm going to have to bring out, Kev, a little brucking.
Come on, don't. Listen, we're giving up our time here, squaddies. You get broke up. Hit that like button. Remember, after the salute, you're supposed to have hit the like button on the way in. So no excuses.
Okay, so here's one for you. Without getting into too much speculation about Savic and Tielemans and all this stuff, I want to put out a question to you that one of our good friends, Jordan Jarrett Bryant, and I were going back and forth on last week. He was on with Perry Groves, and the question came up about Jordan. Perry said, if we finish 8th and we win Europa League, I take it all day long. Jordan was horrified and said that he would rather finish 4th and be in a better league position. What does that tell you about Arsenal if they finish 8th in the league and they win the Europa League? And I jumped in right away and I said, oh my dear God, are you crazy? We get to win a European trophy the first time since when Super Kev was playing. And we get back into the Champions League and we finish 8th. Like, who cares? The parade will be great. Then Jordan tweaked it a little bit and he said, okay, 4th and FA Cup. I'm going to start with judges because I think I know what Kev's going to say. Judges, 8th in the league and winning the Europa League, or 4th in the league and winning the FA Cup. Jump in, squaddies. Jump in, everybody here.
Listen, Jordan, I love Jordan, but he's always tweaking. He's always trying to put this move on goalpost. I don't care what anybody thinks. You know what I mean? Like, listen, forget about the league position. You don't know what's going to go on in that light. But if we win the Europa League, one we win a trophy, fantastic. The second one, it puts us into the Champions League as well. Puts us into the Champions League. The FA Cup, as lovely as it is, and that doesn't. So if Arsenal were to come 8th in the FA Cup, I honestly think that's still sackable. Because I'll tell you what, most top teams wouldn't tolerate that. You know what I mean? If Chelsea come 8th this season and win the FA Cup, I don't think Thomas Tuchel will be at Chelsea in the following season, with new owners or not. So for me, you know, whatever happens this season, Mikel Arteta has got to get into the Champions League. He's got 2 bites at the cherry. That's how I look at it. He's got 2 bites at it. Last season, he only had 1. He's got 2 ways to go. If he puts all his eggs into one basket in the Europa League and we win it, I will embrace it. You know, it is all about winning trophies and getting to the Champions League. The Europa League does both. So for me, that's what it is. And I'll tell you what, I think Arsenal need to win something in Europe. Pretty smartish as well. I think we need to get that little monkey off our back about the you know, like, as I say, 1995 is a long, long time. Oh, was it 94, wasn't it? 94. Sorry, 95 was when we lost it, you know, so 94. You know, that's a long time.
I mean, you could fast forward it though, couldn't you, Lee, to the Barcelona game, even like the European?
Well, listen, we've had opportunities. We've had
different tournaments, but
yeah, we had the Europa League in 2000, didn't it? It was a UEFA Cup then against Galatasaray. I messed that up. Played poorly on the night. Obviously, like we lost in 95. We lost then in Paris, of course, in the Champions League, and of course we lost in the Europa League against Chelsea. Our performances since we've won that, I think it's 3 finals or whatever it is, and there've been 4 finals since we won something, and we've been really pretty poor in them all. If I'll be honest,
we haven't won the League Cup or a European trophy since when Kev was there.
Kevin's days, yeah. Listen, the League Cup I don't agree with it. You know, Arsene Wenger took that like lightly.
Too light, didn't he?
Too lightly. Do you remember we got to the final against Chelsea and he played the kids against the proper Chelsea time? You know, that was wrong. You know, when you get to a final, I get it in the early rounds, but once you start clicking it, and you have a look at it now, it's changed a little bit now. More teams are now starting to not disrespect it first couple of rounds, but when it gets to the nitty gritty, even Liverpool last season started playing their bigger sides. Manchester City have done it for the last few years. So I don't buy into that. I think Arsenal have got to get into the Champions League this season. I really do. You know, after what happened last season, we should have got into it. We failed, but ultimately, like, we've got 2 bites at the cherry, and you know, if we're say 4th or 5th, I'm going to say this now: if we're 4th or 5th, and we've got a big European game coming up, and we can't win the league, you know, surely we're going to edge our bets towards the Europa League. I think we've got to gauge it out as it goes. But for me, it's the Europa League. You're not convinced so far.
No, listen, I am shocked that any Arsenal fan, and there's a few in chat that would take 4th in the FA Cup. I'm shocked. If you can't win the league and you put your eggs in a European trophy basket, Super Kev, what is your take? To me, 8th and winning a European trophy like the Europa League, which, by the way, is not as poo-pooed these days, has been much more elevated. Look how much harder it has been to win over the last 2 or 3 years. Look at the teams that have fallen into it over the last 2 or 3 years as well. Super Kev.
Here's the funny thing, you see, Soph. You could finish 8th and miss out on 4th by a point, and you finish 8th. And rightly what Lee said, because you've put all your eggs in the Europa League basket, because that's going to get you back. Not only is it going to get you a trophy, it's going to get you back into the Champions League.
Yes.
So either way you look at it, you are going to go hell for leather for that. 100%. 4th isn't a trophy. We know that. You can miss out on it. But as an Arsenal man, I don't care. I want Champions League football. I want to do well in the Europa League. I've got to say so, because I think that is something we can win. I really do. I really think it is. 8th, listen, 8th, there's somebody, what is it? Fred says 8th is an embarrassment. Well, winning a trophy, winning the Europa League is an embarrassment, Fred, is it? So, you know, listen, we have to cut our cloth accordingly. Now, at the end of the season, we need to be back in the Champions League. You finish 4th and you win an FA Cup, fine.
I'll take that. That's
fine.
Great.
Yeah, fine. But we can only say what we think. I would much prefer to win the Europa League.
Okay.
I would.
Personally, I'm with you, Kev. I would love it. It's more prestigious. The FA Cup we've owned, and it's as prestigious but in a different way. To win that trophy for me would be amazing, and to get back into Europe, I'd take it all day long. And as you said, if you lose out on that spot by 1 point, you know, anyway.
You know, you could drop. You think about it, Soph. You could. The season's probably going to be very tight at the top. 1 or 2 points could be the difference whether you finish 4th or 8th.
Well, this takes me to my next one, Kev, because I would love it if Arsenal were ruthless. If he did finish 8th and won the Europa League, they sacked him. Said, you know what, we're going to crank it up a notch. We need better than that. That would be amazing. That would be Real Madrid, Chelsea-esque. Like, sorry, did I lose half the room? Crickets, did I lose all 550 people in live chat?
I agree to that at a certain point. I do, but his objectives was to get us to the Champions League. So if he gets it via one or the other, I don't think the ball will be too bothered. I really don't. And I also think, I don't know if you guys think this, I think the FA Cup's going to be harder to win than the Europa League, because the simple fact is you've got Liverpool and Manchester City in the FA Cup. They're not in the Europa Cup. You're not in the Europa
exactly.
League.
All right, let's before we get to the last one here on a fun one, I'll get you out on, and then we'll do some
questions,
some spontaneous questions and fun. Super Kev and Lee Judges. This prompted an extra question from me, from our good friend Jason at Gunner Balls. That's Gunner Balls with a Z. I like this too. And Jason gave us permission to use this. You can check out his Etsy store. He has an amazing new
Very nice.
art piece on. By the way, he allows us to use this all for free, which is amazing. And he has a new piece on Gabriel Jesus as well, Super Kev, which you will love. What do you make of this then? Before we move on, Kev, I'm going to start with you. As we sit today, because I said to you that I don't necessarily see us signing too many more players. I just can't see it. I think we're in a lot of conversations, and it's not me being a Debbie Downer. It's just me being a realist. Talking to Susie Rack at The Guardian as well.
Debbie.
Debbie. Not Debbie Does Dallas, Kev.
No,
Debbie
not
Downer.
Debbie Downer. Sophie, we got holes in our squad, darling. We got holes in our squad, and they need filling.
Okay, so talk to me about this as it sits up front, like the creative part.
So, Sophie, one thing I think that's going to change our fortunes at the top end of the pitch is that man in the middle. Lacazette done a really good job bringing people into play. His hold-up play was good. But one thing that Lacazette lacked was that speed to be able to transition into the box, to be able to stretch the pitch. He just couldn't do that. He never had that speed. Jesus has that. He can hold the play up. He can turn and beat his man. He gives us so many more options. And this is exactly why Mikel Arteta was hell-bent on getting this guy, because of what he can bring to the table. That's for sure. And there are some real creative players. Smith Rowe. And don't forget, Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, they played with a diminishing Aubameyang, with all due respect to Aubameyang, and a Lacazette whose legs had gone. So they haven't really played with somebody who can take the chances, could stretch the pitch, could make the defense more accountable so they get more space. I think that's what we've got now. And I think is really important. I think them five, whichever permutation you look at, could be a real dangerous threat.
Lee, if I was to ask you today, based on what we know and all 540 of you in live chat this fine Monday summer evening, Mr. Judges, if you had to judge at this point, how does your midfield forward look based on what we have today? Not on who we're signing, based on what we've got.
Not good enough. Not good enough, not strong enough. Because the same midfield is the same midfield that was there last season. Partey's not going to last the season. He's going to get injured. Who comes in? It's not strong enough. We need, what you said was a fantastic point. We need someone coming in that's not just going to come in and just, it's going to come in there and do something, like just not be someone to replace. Someone's going to come in there and do. I think that we need that, and we also need someone on the left back. People keep going to me, oh yeah, Tierney and Partey are very, very good players. How well did they play at Spurs? How well did they play at Newcastle? Weren't there. Why? Because they was injured again. And I look at it, and I'm whether you think I'm being negative or not, it's true facts on this. These two players, who I, by the way, love them as footballers, I think they're fantastic. They could not last a season with one game a week. We've got European football this year. They can't, so they're going to be playing more games. They keep breaking down. So we need depth. We need strength in depth to come in and take them over. As it stands at this moment in time, when we kick off at Palace, Cedric is our left back. That is 2 transfer windows, January and this one. If we're left with playing Cedric at the back, at left back, that ain't good enough. It's not good enough. They've had enough time to sort that out and get somebody in there to come in and do it. And then when I look in midfield, if Partey's injured, we're going to go in and just for instance, and Xhaka gets an injury as well. We're in with Lokonga and El Neni. Wasn't good enough last season. Wasn't good enough. People go on, well, we've got Vieira. Vieira's not that sort of midfield player. He's not going to come in there and dictate and go in there. That's the four players that are competing for the 2 midfield places are Xhaka, Partey, El Neni and Lokonga. It's exactly the same midfield four as last season. Not good enough. Needs to be addressed. Needs to be sorted out. And it's not been. And for me, whether it will or not, people keep saying to me, stay patient. I get that. These same people that are telling me to stay patient were the same ones telling me on January the 30th to stay patient. So I'll stay patient now to the 4th of July. And I think at the end of it, when people go to me, yeah, stay patient, it's only the 4th of July. We've known since January, right? Yeah, since January, we need that midfield strengthening. I'll tell you why. I've said it 100 times, because when Partey got eliminated from the African Nations Cup, he flew in on the Tuesday night and was on the bench on the Wednesday night. On the Tuesday night. He flew in the morning, played that night, and what happens? He got injured.
We got sent off, didn't he? Did he get sent off?
Did he get sent off? I think he got sent off. Yes, sorry, he got sent off. Two bookings. Yeah. At the end of the day, what does that tell you? If a bloke's coming off a plane in the morning, you're playing him in the evening, that tells you you're not strong enough in that area. Mm-hmm. So address it. And they've not addressed it at this moment in time.
Not yet.
Not yet. So they need to. And the perfect opportunity for me was someone like Basuma, who was touting to come to Arsenal, saying that he's an Arsenal fan and whatever. 25 million. We let him go. We don't want you to Spurs. So that tells me we're either got somebody else lined up or we've got incompetence in our transfer team. So I'll wait and see. I expect that midfield place to be filled, and I also expect that left sided. Now, if them two players were to come in, yeah, I don't know who they're going to be. I'm fed up with naming names and whatever like that. They come in, Arsenal are in a very, very healthy position. If they don't, we'll be here again. And I'll tell you what, someone like, Lokonga, he needs to play every single Europa League game. Every single one. I don't want to see Partey and whoever it is, the main two playing that game. That is where they get their games, because we should still get through in that group without these players. Give them the games, not putting them out on loan to so-and-so. Get them the games. Then in January, when we need to strengthen again, then maybe release them to Premier League sides. But I want to see Lokonga. I want to see him developing in the Europa League.
Super Kev. Lee's a bit more stressed about the transfer window than I think you are. You may have differing opinions on this one. It doesn't close until August 31st. We have a little while now. But the problem, I think, and what I agree with Lee and what I've said on other shows, is we've seen this movie before. We're in for this person, that person. It goes on and on and on. And it's a smokescreen. And then we end up with who we have. You and I talked about one marquee signing a window, versus going the whole hog like some of the other top teams. We also have the arrogance that we can do this. We can do this with Jesus and Saka and Martinelli and Odegaard and Emil Smith-Rowe and Xhaka and Partey and Gabriel and Ben White and Tierney and Tomiyasu and Ramsdale, and when Vieira needs to be plugged in. What's your take on the panic or the stress level at this point?
I think the important thing for all of us is when you actually look at our squad and you still see the same holes. I think that's the problem, isn't it? You still see the same holes in the squad that have been there. Great. We've plugged a hole at number 9. Brilliant. The midfield still is light. I think we bypassed Basuma because we want Tielemans. We want more of a progressive player in that midfield. Somebody who could play in midfield, do the job, but somebody who's going to be more of a goal threat.
Then why haven't we signed him yet, Kev?
Because
if we know we want him and we've wanted him since the start of the year.
Yeah, but you got to remember, it's not the fact that you want something. He's contracted to another team. So you only can get the opportunity to sign him when they agree with you. That's what we got to remember. Of course, if we could get Tielemans in tomorrow, I'm sure Arsenal would do it. I think personally, Leicester going to play a hard bargain with Tielemans because they're going to want as much money as they can get. Obviously, as the window starts to whittle down, then they're going to have to say to themselves, well, do you know what? Let's get somebody in there. To be fair, they've got a few players in. They're going to get they're going to get a little bit tired of the situation and then say, right, let's get the money. Maybe they don't. But we've been linked with Savic now, etc. Listen, this is
that's not going to happen.
No, whether it happens or not, my point is this, Soph. The frustration comes where you see the holes in the squad are still not filled. And yeah, we have done some business and we've signed some decent players, and now we've got our number 9. But Lee's right, you're right, and the squad is mainly all right. Until we see those areas plugged, and also a big number, an alternative striker. I've got to say, we're going to need an alternative striker because sometimes we're gonna have to get a little bit desperate and wing crosses in there.
Yeah.
And Jesus is good in the air for his size, but if you've got a bigger in there, even better. So I do get it. And Arsenal, I do believe, July the 4th, Independence Day, I still think Arsenal's business is not done.
Okay, Arsenal business is not done. I'm leaning towards maybe the opposite of you on this one, Super Kev. I hope it's not done. I just think there's certain teams that have done deals and got their players in that they've wanted. Song and dances become an issue. The Martinez, it's obvious that he will go with Ten Hag to Manchester United. Rafinha was utilising many teams as a pawn maybe to get his deal at Barcelona. This is the transfer market. This is what happened. The player we identified early that we wanted, we got in. So this is the point, Lee. No, hold on.
Tielemans as well. Let's have it right.
No, but Jesus is here and has been here for like a week already, Lee. When we know we want a player, we go and we get him. I mean, this is the juxtaposition to what Kev is saying. If you want Tielemans and you know you want him, go get him. You made the Jesus, and I understand what you mean. You know, like Phillips had to go to City in order for this trigger to happen and that trigger and these things to happen. But I just feel like sometimes we're in for players that we have no intention of signing.
Well, yeah, I agree with that with the Rafinha. I don't, you know, let's see what happens with Rafinha. If you're prepared to spend 60 million on a player on the right hand side of midfield, you'd be looking for someone else as well. Like if you knowing you're listen. And this is what you say about Spurs, whether you love them or hate them. They went for Jesus, couldn't get Jesus, went and got Richarlison. That is what Arsenal, and you think, well, they try to get a cheaper version, but they've never had to go and pay for a very, very much dearer one. It'd be very, very interesting what Arsenal do. The Tielemans one, it ain't going to happen, in my opinion, because I think it might have happened. But if I look at it from a business side of it, and I've said this before, he saying that they want him 30, they might actually be saying at the moment we want 40 million for him. Well, they ain't going to get that for him on 1 year of he left of his contract. The thing is, then you start playing poker with them. Like, you know, don't forget that if if Leicester City say, right, okay, we're going to keep him, right? Well, don't forget the season finishes in November for a little while, and then comes back on the 26th of December. There's only a week then left of before the transfer window opens again. So basically, you're taking a big gamble then that he goes into the last part of his contract with only like half a season. So the more it gets towards the near the transfer window, that's when it could happen. And I get that Arsenal probably look at that. If Arsenal are looking at Tielemans, they would have said to Tielemans, don't panic, we're having you, but we've got to play ball here, like, you know, because that does happen. We know that it does happen. And just trying to do a realistic deal. I also think if that was the case, they probably think, do you know what, those first 4 or 5 games, we might be able to get away with it. If Partey and Xhaka are fit, we can get through those games and then make a good decision at the end of the season. At the end of the transfer window. What I will say, and what I won't say now, is that the left side of midfield, that should be plugged straight away now. If it is that Martinez is rumoured for it. If he is going to go to Manchester United, then why are we having more meetings with Ajax this week? Like, that is ridiculous. It's just a waste of time. So if they go into meetings this week with Ajax, they better get him, because it was showing confidence if it's not, because you've got then other targets. I do think with Arsenal and all this linking with players and all that, like, I don't buy into it no more, because I didn't see one link with Vieira. I didn't see one link with him. And then Bosch is in. So maybe Arsenal being a little bit cagey and whatever, I think the sensible people are thinking Tielemans is one to go for, because we need that. But ultimately, I don't know who it's going to be, but they need to get somebody in there, and I do think that Arsenal will. The other side of it is not one Arsenal player has really gone out apart from Guendouzi at the moment. So there's a lot, I think, goes on behind the scenes of
And is there a shocker? Is there a shocker to come?
Well, there could be. There could be. There could be.
A shocker like what? What do you mean, Soph?
I know where she's going.
No, what do you mean, Soph? What shocker? A shocker like what?
I think two possibilities. If I'm going to do a Dallas end of season cliffhanger, Super Kev, my first cliffhanger would be Gabriel to Juventus and that becoming a reality. Hold on. And my second cliffhanger would be Tierney to Newcastle. Those would be my cliffhangers.
Well,
this
what
could
about
be an
Xhaka?
actual new segment. No, Xhaka.
Xhaka?
No, Xhaka's not going.
No,
Xhaka. Oh no, he hasn't signed. He hasn't signed.
So, why are they going in for Rafinha? There's a worry there. That has got to be sorted out as well. They've got to sort out a contract with him.
These things are just not. They don't take. Listen, all these negotiations. Saka's going to be. Saka and his people are going to be negotiating hard. This is a really important contract for him.
Yeah, I agree.
These things are just not going to get. He's already under contract. These things are just not going to get done in a couple of months. These things could take 6 months. But Arsenal are not. Trust me, they are not going to sell Saka in this window. No chance.
Kev, I think I've just started a new segment on the transfer shows. Your cliffhanger. It's a cliffhanger. I mean, look, Lee brings what he hasn't signed yet. As long as he hasn't signed.
I tell you what, Lee, look at that. You know what that is, don't you? Get out of it. Get out of it, you flip-flop. Get out. Telling me about what's going on with that. Stop it.
I'm saying, I'm going to say it now. I think Arsenal will work on that and make sure they get that deal done. But if I'm Saka, I'm just going to sit there. I'd love to be in this transfer window, because I'll be sitting back and going, well, they better sign a midfield player and they better sign this, because otherwise I'm not signing. That's how I'll be saying. So I think that he's looking at this transfer window as well. And I do think that, this transfer window is not just for us fans. That's all I'm saying.
Can I just say that Super Kev, old school Generation X style, 600 plus of you in live chat, bought out the slipper / flip-flop. Flip-flop, as my parents, my Greek parents used to call it.
This is like the old beat. Where you going, Lee?
How fast did you guys used to run from your mum when she got the slipper?
Oh, the old slipper.
It was
not a life, wasn't it?
It was like a boomerang as well.
Yeah.
She hit you from 25 yards, and then she'll take it and put the slipper back on, all in one movement. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Oh my God, Kev! It was like a boomerang. That's awesome.
Hit you, come back on. It's on the edge. You want another one? It's crazy. It was absolutely crazy. But you know what? So, all joking aside, look. One thing we do know. Arsenal still have a lot of business to do.
Yeah.
Comings and goings. We know that. Pre-season started already. And listen, we know there's some youngsters there, but we're not in the business of trying to upgrade these youngsters just yet. Now they have to prove themselves. We need to get the quality in now, because with 5 subs, do you know how dangerous? If we have the right personnel, how dangerous that's going to make us as a football team. really, really dangerous. So we need to get the quality in, because you know what else? Especially in midfield, there might be games where we need to change the direction of our midfield. You know,
Okay.
we might need to take a Xhaka off. We might need to take a Partey off in a certain game to get somebody else on.
I mean, Kev, this might be an unpopular opinion at this point, but right now we kind of need Xhaka in this team because there's no one else.
True.
We haven't signed anyone. We haven't brought anyone
True.
else in. He's better option than anyone that we have. He had a decent season last season. And so for me, you know, the Tierney issue, the Tommy issue, can't keep plugging Ben White in there. Where are you going to play Saliba? You know, how's that going to look? Is Ben White going to become the understudy to Tomiyasu? I mean, there's a lot of options at the back in terms of adjustable depth, but not specialist depth. And I think he likes having hybrid players, Kev.
No, he does. He does like having that. But what a good problem to have when you're talking about Ben White and Saliba and Tomiyasu. It's a great problem to have. Great problem to have, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. So I'm going to get you guys out on this one real quick in 20 seconds so we could find out a little bit more about Lee Judges. We're going to get a little intimate here this Monday evening.
Ooh.
Old school.
Aye.
It's not going to be one of those old school
Put the
FM.
brute
Hey,
on. Put the brute on, son.
you lovers out there in the dark. Okay, the last one on the top 5 Monday Madness talking points that I have for you. After the Cronkies won the Super Bowl and the Stanley Cup, Lee Judges, do you live in hope that these same owners could do that for the Arsenal the same way, even though the Glazers have failed to do what they did at Tampa with United, but John Henry, the Boston Red Sox owner, has done great things at Liverpool? Do you think the Cronkies?
What the Glazers owners when Sir
All right,
Alex
won the
won the league? No,
they won the Europa
league.
League and the league.
No,
Okay,
won the
all
league.
right.
Yeah.
All right, fine. Okay, the Glazers, even though it
I'm
hasn't
just
really...
saying.
All right, they won. You know what, Kev? They won Europa League, League Cup, and the league. You're right. We'll throw them in there. Judges, what is your judgment?
I live in hope. Do I think that it's going to happen? No, I don't. You know, I really don't. But
Slippers coming out again. I can see.
Listen, the Cronkies have spent a bit of money since they've took over as full ownership. They have, whether they have or not, the club has spent money. Let's get that right. They have spent money. So we can't go on to the likes of the spending powers of certain other teams, but we have spent money. I don't know. I really don't know. It pains me watching those Americans and Stanley with those cups. It pains me.
Listen, despite the salary cap, despite free agency, despite that, you know, everyone has the same options, but they've done it. They've now done it twice.
Yeah, they've done it. Yeah, but it's
with two
a
different teams.
It's a different playing field over
It
there.
is different.
As you said, like, you know, they've got the same. I would think if it was the same playing field, then maybe. But so what you're saying then is that we've got to look at it and say that we're not going to get near Manchester City and Chelsea and Newcastle, but we should be getting near all the other teams. At this moment in time, Spurs are outspending us at this moment. At this moment in time, let's be patient. Let's be patient. That's what someone just told in my ear. Be patient. Be patient. So we'll wait and see. But I live in hope. I live in hope. But there you go.
Well, sometimes spend isn't necessarily
what
it's all about, right? So I guess my point is, and this is the current spend in the summer transfer window, and I don't think that's accurate because obviously now Jesus has been confirmed and Vieira, I'm not sure if they've included both of those on there. But Kev, the point is real quick, business-minded is how they've done it. Now, there's a rule in how to work within American sports and hockey and the NFL, of course. And, you know, there's a bit of a difference in terms of Premier League football, but there's still an organization that brought 2 championships to 2 of their teams this season.
Well, the key is, Soph, the ultimate goal has to be what you say. The ultimate goal has to be to win it all, to get to the top of the Premier League and win it. That's the ultimate goal. Now, how you do it can differ. Manchester City done it one way, Liverpool done it another way. Right? So I think we are kind of going on the trajectory of more of a Liverpool model. I'm not saying we're Liverpool, but what we have to do, we have to buy certain players, we have to cut our cloth accordingly, and we have to buy hungry players who play in a system, and they have to be able to excel in that system. But even more so, if you are going to do it like that, you need a squad. Because there are teams who are a lot further ahead than we are right now. So if we're going to do that, we need to plug these gaps so much.
Totally agree.
And then 13 losses last season has to turn into 6.
Yeah.
You start turning 13 losses into 6 losses, and then you're picking up all the other points. Now you're going to be competitive for that top 4, season in, season out. That's going to get you closer. And then you keep sprinkling a bit of stardust every year, bringing a difference maker in. That's how we're going to have to do it.
But Kev, right now, Jesus doesn't make that. He makes a difference up front because he could score 15 goals, and that could be the difference between finishing in a certain position in the league. The problem is now we've got an extra added competition, which is going to mean more fatigue, more injuries potentially, and more wear and tear, and so it becomes even more of a bigger challenge for us as a team. So, Lee, did you want to have a last word on the football before you start sharing some?
No, I'm fine on that. I think Kevin covered that really well.
All right.
Really, really well.
So if I want to make a point, I think
Yes.
it's a really important point to make. Lisandro Martinez covers so many different positions.
Yeah.
Which is great. But here's the problem. If you've got injuries like we had at the end of last season where Partey and Tierney's out, he can't play both. So we need the depth. We can't just rely on him he can play all these different positions. It's not good enough for Arsenal. And I want people to understand that. That is great that he can play all those positions as well as any other. But we tend to shoot ourselves in the foot because when Tierney's out and Partey's out, we fall apart.
Yeah.
So we need more. We need more depth in that team. We need to plug the holes, and maybe if Martinez did come, or a Martinez type player, we still need the bodies. We still do.
Just putting up all the bodies. Bodies.
Well, listen.
Come on, bring it on. Bodies.
Do you know what, Soph? People are talking about Martinez, what will want to link up with Ten Hag at Man United. Maybe he does. But do you know what? All's not well at Man United. With Ronaldo, he's like, things ain't happening quick enough for him. He hasn't got long left, Soph. He wants Champions League. Exactly. He wants to doesn't want to be messing around. No chance. So all's not rosy at Man United either.
Yeah, that's a great point.
No, when Cristiano Ronaldo wants to leave Manchester United, there's problems. Genuinely, there's problems. All right. That was our football take for this fine Monday madness. Top 5 talking points. We talked about Jesus. We talked about being worried about a big name maybe on sale. We talked about all the stale goods and their sell-by dates still on the shelf. No one out to buy them. What can we get for them? We talked about 8th in the league and Europa versus 4th in the league and FA Cup. And we also talked about the Cronkies and whether or not you trust after they've won in the US in sports to win with the Arsenal. Now we move on to some fun stuff, and we find out what tickles Mr. Judge's fancy when he gets into his little warm duvet cover at night and he puts on a film.
Ooh.
Mr. Judges, as
It's
part of
not
our...
it's not Debbie Does Dallas, I can tell you that.
Has he got flip-flops on?
As part of our summer series, we're asking our very special guests some fun stuff because it is the summer after all, everyone. Let's chill out and relax. Mr. Judges, your favourite film?
I've got to say, I think I've said this before, but my favourite film was Jaws. Watched it loads and loads of times. Love it. Love all the acting in it. And do you know what? It's a bit like our Arsenal transfer window. After every one of Jaws films, the shark dies.
It's a good one. I watched Jaws with Tony the other night. We've got Jaws 2 on deck this July 4 weekend because it's, very a holiday movie, believe it or not.
Okay. I'll tell you what, it's brilliant characters in that film as well, the first one. And the second one weren't too bad.
Richard Dreyfuss makes me laugh.
Oh, yeah, God, he's brilliant, isn't he?
Brilliant.
Yeah. Once it got to Jaws 3D, then it all went.
No, it gets a bit stupid after that, but the first two were very, very good.
What is your favourite TV show? I'm going to take a guess at Kev. In my mind, I'm like, it's got to be something like The Professionals or Minder or Birds of a Feather. Do you know what I mean? Like one of those old school Only Fools and Horses. Yeah.
I loved all of them, but it's not none of them. It's not none of them. It was about seven builders going over to Germany. I'll be the
same pair.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he loved it,
I've watched them 1,000 times. I remember back in the day, I was like working on a building site. I made my jacket look like Oz, you know what I mean? A few rips in the leather jacket and all that. Like, absolutely loved him. Probably the best character ever on TV, like,
Jimmy Now, isn't it?
Jimmy Now, just absolutely brilliant. So I loved all of the same pets. So it would have to be that for me.
Classic, absolute classic. Right, your favourite actors, male, female?
Oh, that's a very, very good one. But probably be a little bit surprised about this one, but Kev knows this one. Like would be Telly Savalas. I absolutely
Who Loves You, Baby?
Savalas. Who Loves You? Like Kojak, loved all that. The films that he was in. Kelly's Heroes was on last night. I watched it about 1,000 times. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So and he always sort of played in Kojak. He was a goodie, but he always played the baddie as well. Like Robert De Niro would have to be up there as well. I thought he was he's fantastic. Would be probably my sort of modern day sort of favourite, if I'll be honest. So that would be it there. Women, that's a difficult one, really.
Is it?
Let's
see. Are you a Meryl Streep guy or are you a Julia Roberts?
Julia Roberts was good. What's
Scarlett Johansson, perhaps.
No, Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher, yeah.
I really liked her in Star Wars. I know that. I don't know why. I don't know if it was her acting
Carrie
skills.
Fisher will do. We like Carrie Fisher.
It's the outfits, Judges. It's the outfits, mate.
All right, here we go. This is where it will shock everyone. I'm sure it's not Take That, but your favourite band of all time, Judges.
Oh, very, very close between Oasis and U2.
All right.
Very close.
So I'm assuming is your favourite concert you've ever been to?
Oh, well, my favourite concert. I've got a story about it. I think I've told this before, but Madonna's my favourite concert I've ever been to.
The Blonde Ambition tour at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, and I managed to talk to her. Like she had a conversation with me, like So that was unreal, like So that's my claim to fame. That is that I've spoken to Madonna.
Yeah. I can never one-up you a lot of times, but I one-upped you on this story. Do you remember it?
Is that her claim to fame, Lee? I love it, Lee. Love it.
That's her claim to fame and all like that.
My claim to fame is I actually had Madonna's dancers in my apartment after a gig dancing.
Oh.
No,
do you remember that? I told you that when we were at the Hippo.
Look at Lee's face, really?
You beaten me. You goddamn beat me, man. I can't have that. Man. You know what I mean? So,
this is so awesome. Okay, your favourite city in the whole world?
Oh, that's a tough one. Like, thinking about it, like, I'm going
up to now, because
up to now. I'm going to have to say I was disappointed with Los Angeles. I'm going to say that, like, you know, if it wasn't as sorry. So
Well, I live in Huntington. Oh, I don't tell people where I live, but yeah.
Listen, I'm going to say Manchester. I love Manchester.
In the whole world, you're choosing Manchester? Is that because of Applejacks in the 90s? Or is that because of Super Kev and the pub?
Well, like, we've had some fantastic times up there. Like, you know, Amsterdam was very good. Like, you know, I've never been to Bangkok. I've been to Phuket, which is great. I've been to some nice places, but I keep going back to Manchester. So I'm going to say Manchester.
Okay, so you do realise that I have a clip forever and ever that says now Lee Judges confesses his favourite city in the entire world is Manchester.
He's Manny, man. Love it, Lee. Love it.
There you go. Like, you know what I mean? So New York's good. You know, I've got to say Madrid was very, very nice. Someone's just put Madrid. Madrid was very nice, but you know, I keep going back to Manchester. I don't know why, but I do. Like, you know. So
all right, Manchester it is.
Be honest. No, be honest.
All right, Super Kev.
Listen, we have great times when we go out there. I'll say every time we went up, we have a
whenever
scream.
We link up, we have a scream. Honestly, we do.
There's always stories to tell after we've been there.
Okay,
like
we're 1 hour and 11 minutes in, so we're going to speed this up just a little bit here. All right, so if you had to support any other team other than Arsenal, who would it be?
Everton.
There's a pattern emerging here.
No, I've always had a little thing for a little soft spot for Everton. Going back in the day, Peter Reid and players like that, Andy Gray. I had a big thing for Celtic when Charlie Nicholas was there. But then, like, I like Rangers. It's a real weird thing. Listen, I could have well and easily have been a Manchester United fan. I'm going to be really honest about that, because when growing up as a kid, my favourite player growing up as a kid, the first cup final I ever watched, or I really remember, was Southampton versus Manchester United. Southampton won it, but they had a player playing for them at Man United called Stuart Pearson, who I've gone on to meet. Yes. And he was I just loved him, like, as a player, and I followed Man United. I didn't follow Man United, I just followed him, you know, and I loved him. And but thankfully, he left Man United just after 77 or 78. He went to West Ham, and I didn't really like West Ham that much, so that was the end of Stuart Pearson's love affair. and the Arsenal then took over, but. You know, I could have easily been a Tottenham fan. Obviously, everybody knows that, like, you know. But I'm glad I supported Arsenal. But I've got a little soft spot for Everton, not just because Kevin was playing there. Like, it was before that. If I'll be honest, and I think because Liverpool was so dominant. Yeah, you know,
I have a soft spot for Everton. I definitely,
I'll tell you what I do like about Everton, and I've always said it, and it's something that Arsenal got to do. And I know they're getting that song out now. That Z Cars. I used to love Z Cars as a kid. Do you remember that when you was a kid? You just something that anthem, that music. I've actually got it on my playlist, you know what I mean, like on my phone. I just love that song.
Don't you wish that we sang Good Old Arsenal more?
Good old, I always believe that should always been, as Arsenal run out, good old Arsenal should be the one that comes out as they come out, like, you know. And the siren goes off and all that, like. And the first time I went to Everton, it was just, you know, quite a while back in the 80s and all that. It was a very, very vibrant place. You know, you can walk around now. In those days, you never could walk around Everton. It was an in and out job, let me tell you, like. But it had an aura about it, that ground, and I think that's why I like. You know,
I think it's also like Highbury. There was a closeness to it. There was a claustrophobia, but a breathable claustrophobia. It was like the energy just kind of just swept left, right, forward, backwards. I mean, it was. You know, I feel like the two are really kind of similar and stuff like that. All right, 2 more and we'll get you out here. Keep them coming. Yes, Super Kev.
I've got one at the end. I've got one right at the end.
Okay, all right, perfect. I love it. A game you never, ever went to, Mr. Judges, but wish you could transport yourself to any time, any era, any decade, any?
I was having to think about this, and obviously the obvious one is the '89 one. I had the chance of going, and I didn't because I was sulking because I thought we'd blown it and everything like that, and it was getting up there on that Friday night, and I said, "Oh, sod that, we ain't going to win it." So, you know, threw me toys out of the pram that day, and I regret that. I do regret that, but I got to see it on the TV and everything like that. So, and actually, I think they had just as good as evening, probably better than a lot of the fans that went up there, because we all went to Highbury afterwards and it was absolutely fantastic. So I felt that I got a little bit back on that, if that sounds silly or whatever, like, you know, maybe I'm not, maybe just saying, I'm just trying to make myself feel better.
Yeah, you're just saying that to make yourself feel better, mate. Trust me.
To make myself feel, yeah. But if I could go to a game that I wasn't even alive on and all that, my dad always spoke about it and said how great it was when Arsenal won the double in '71 at White Hart Lane, and that day, and everybody going mad. So I think I'd like to be transported back. Even though I was alive, I was only a baby. I think I'd like to have experienced that, and what it was like to win the double 10 years after they'd done it, to win it on their ground. And yeah, I think that would probably be the one.
First time.
For the first time, yeah. I think we've done it again, didn't we? We won there again, the league. I think we've done it there before again. But I always think with the 2004 one, to be honest, a little bit tinge of disappointment in that, because we was 2-0 up.
Didn't win the game.
I come away from that. I come away from that with the ump. That just shows you how Arsenal things have changed.
That's how mighty we were.
Yeah, I remember coming out, getting that layman. Oh, I hate him, you know what I mean? Because it would have just been that little bit better. But you know, that's me. I'm a bit of a misery, you know.
Get that slipper out, Kev.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. You know,
backside judges
giving away a penalty, giving a penalty away in the last kick of the game.
If you don't hit the like button, I'll tell you what. Forget Vinny. I'll get you with them.
Yeah, hit that like button, otherwise the flip-flops are coming out.
Totally in tears. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Kev. 10 seconds on this one, Lee. You're the owner of Arsenal. Wait, Kev. He's the owner of Arsenal. By the way, Lee is the owner of Arsenal.
Wow.
This would be fun.
I'll tell you what, there'd be a few more signings through the door if I was the owner. I'm telling you that now. Like, holes will be filled, and I'll tell you what, I guarantee you they would have been filled.
We should actually just do a show where you are the owner and you fill all the holes and do that. That would be epic. All right, but who's your manager, and who, as the owner, do you influence to sign to be your captain?
Oh, well, I'm going to say, people might not like this, but Jurgen Klopp would be my manager. I'll go to Liverpool and get Jurgen. I just love Jurgen Klopp's energy and what he's done with Liverpool. You know, I think they've lost 3 games in 2 years. They haven't won the league. It's unbelievable, really. Like, you know, I think he's just a magic person.
Obviously, means you're picking the wrong manager, then, doesn't it?
Well, no, like, you know, I like the underdog. You know what I mean? I do like that. I'm just saying, if they've only lost 3 games and not won the league, then you. It's a bit, I know, like, but they did win both cups, so I do like Klopp. Captain that's playing now, or I could go back to
now.
No, got to be playing now. Got to be
playing now. That's a difficult one. I don't think there's that many great captains out there now, if I'll be honest.
Well, if you're going to bring Klopp, you may as well bring Van Dijk with him, maybe.
Yeah, he ain't a captain though, is he? Like, you know what I mean?
What?
He's not captain.
Shut up.
Jordan Henderson's captain of Liverpool. Jordan Henderson's captain of Liverpool.
No, Van Dijk's the man. Come on,
Van Dijk's the vice.
Van Dijk's. Well, if you're going to go that, no.
Remember, you're bringing him in to be captain. You're bringing him in to be captain.
He's your guy. He's your guy.
I'm going for Harry Kane. No.
Oh, he's falling apart in the last 20 minutes.
I think that the player to go for, I'm going to say this now. I'm really doing. I'm liking him. Is De Bruyne. I'm going to go Kevin De Bruyne.
All right. Okay, it's his game. Super Kev, over to you.
Lee, what is your favourite Arsenal team?
My favourite Arsenal team
Of all
time.
Yes.
2002.
2002
team. I think was probably the best Arsenal team ever. Better than the 98 side.
Yeah.
I know, like the 89 team was.
Yeah, and you squad is what your favourite Arsenal team as well.
I love the 93 team.
The 89 team was fantastic. It was a great team and all that, but the 91 team was better.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I think the 2004 team gets all the plaudits, you know, like the Invincible that. But I think the 2002 team was brilliant. I think that, don't forget, we went unbeaten the whole of the season away from home that season, and that convinced Arsene Wenger that could do it. Like, you know, well, I'd say because it was great to watch, but I felt more, if I'd be really honest, more attached connected to the Kevin's teams of 91 and beyond.
Well, the 91 team, I think, is probably one of the most
underrated
Arsenal team in the history. Even though they were rated, they're the most underrated, right? I mean, I love the League Cup and the European winning teams. That 91 team, Lee, as a fan, you know,
it was great.
I mean,
great to watch.
Margins from greatness as well, even though they were great.
I'll be honest with you. I'll be really honest with you.
Stopped.
Yeah, point stopped. That was great at Old Trafford. They had a bit of nastiness about them. I think that following Arsenal was more enjoyable in that era, in the George Graham era, than any other time. And I don't mean that against Arsenal, because we had some fantastic times under Arsenal, but I just felt more connected. Like, the players would jump into the crowd. Unfortunately, never near me, but like they did. And there was that little bit more of a connection with it. Like, you meet these guys now, and they're like so humbling. You know, I've been very, very fortunate to meet a lot of them now. And it always takes you back with a big, big fondness. It was a fantastic thing about following Arsenal back in those days. I think it's something to do with the football, the atmosphere, and all that. But it was just great following football, and those teams. You just felt a little bit more connected to them, all the players. But the 2004 team the 2002 team was the best Arsenal team that I've ever seen. The best Arsenal team I've ever seen. I think Henry was. You go back to Old Trafford when we won the league that day. You know, you just go back and look at Vieira. Vieira was like, oh my God, what a player that! I have to say, he was unbelievable. We had players like Lundberg. We had players like Wiltord and Carnu that were backups to Henry and Bergkamp.
That's right.
So you get that right now. They'd walk into this football club, walk into this football team, like, you know what I mean, there, Wiltord and all that, like, you know. Unbelievable. Perez, by the way, at that season, I don't know if you remember, he'd done his cruciate right at the end of it, was playing superb football all of the time. I honestly think in the 2004 side, Bergkamp was just over the wrong side of his best. He was still at his best in 2002. Got that goal against Newcastle, if you remember, like that goal that day there. Perez was incredible. Lundberg was incredible on the right hand side. Ray Parlour, by the way, wasn't necessarily a starter, guaranteed starter, and that was fantastic. Edu wasn't a regular in that team. You know, Gilberto and probably Vieira were the main two, but like, I can go, just unbelievable. Keown and Adams were battling it out with Sol Campbell as a defence. I can go on. I can go on and on. You know what I mean? Like,
But
it's
you know
unbelievable.
something, Lee? Lee, here's one thing I will say about what you're talking about there. There was no drop off. Whenever there was a change,
That is exactly
one
it.
out, or you took 2 out, or you took 3 out. 3 came in, and the Arsenal train just kept on rolling.
Yeah,
And a lot
unbelievably
of those
right.
a lot of those players weren't bought for no big money.
No, Ashley Cole come in at that stage and replaced Nigel Winterburn was fantastic down the left back position.
What a player!
You know, we had Silvino backing that up, if you remember rightly, and you know, it was just, you know, but I'll tell you a story, right? And this is, you know, like, this is true. And it was the last time I went to a cup final with my dad. It was in 2003. We'd lost the league the week before. We played Southampton under the roof at the Millennium Stadium. We went up by coach, and I come out, and I said to my dad, I said, I'm glad we've won and all that, but you know what I mean, I'm still disappointed over last week and all that, like, you know what I mean, I wasn't right in it. And my dad turned around to me and said, enjoy it, son, because you never know when it's going to end. So just enjoy today. You don't know, like, you know, and we'll win it. We'll win the league next year, like, and you know, but enjoy this now. And I'll never forget that. I didn't really enjoy that, but like, I remember we won the league, you know, 2004. Do you remember the following season, 2005? We was awful against Man United, but we won it. I made sure I bloody enjoyed that, like, because I didn't quite enjoy the 2003. So I listened to what my dad said, very much so. But that is the standard, you know what I mean? Like the stand. I was disappointed that we'd won the FA Cup, only the FA Cup that year. I felt that we should have won the league that year. And that's how you know. And I remember my dad saying to me, like, you know, this will end. You know what I mean? So just enjoy it while you can, like, you know. And like, if someone would have said to me in 2004, we won't win the league, we'd be here now. I'll have no ear, and we still ain't won the league. I wouldn't have believed you. Wouldn't have believed you.
Would have put them in a straitjacket, Lee.
Yeah.
Put them in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
But you know what? What you're talking about, Lee, is what we all feel when you've lived at that level, that breathe that rarefied air. It's hard to come down and be like normal. You know, again, if you've stayed at the Savoy and you've stayed at the Dorchester, it's hard to stay at the, you know, the Love Inn motel.
Yeah. Even though it's nice, you know, it's probably nice, you know what I mean?
No, it's not nice. Because, you know, you look at the Fred count of the sheets and there's no Fred count. It's like wicker.
Kev, it's like that scene at the end of, even though it's gangster, but I love it, at the end of Goodfellas, where Ray Liotta's character is in witness protection program, and his line is like, now I gotta line up for bread like every other schmo. There's... What we're saying is, you say at the roadside motel, this is why Arsenal fans get heated, passionate, upset. Forget abusive and ridiculous. We're going to park that. We're not interested or talking about that. But when you're talking about when you see Lee get passionate and his veins are going to pop out of his head, or you see Super Kev going supersonic, or me doing my, you know, crazy post-game kind of why, it's because we've won the experience. We have the scars on our bodies.
The Arsenal have took you there, Soph. You know what I mean? When I first started supporting Arsenal, Liverpool were winning things and that. I never actually went to Arsenal, Charlie Nicholas years and things like that, and thinking that Arsenal were ever going to win the league. I never felt that. You know what I mean? Like, even in '87 when we went to the League Cup final and beat Liverpool, we was a good side, you know what I mean? But if someone said to me, we're going to win the league, you know, that was soon dampened when we lost to Luton the following season at Wembley. I thought, well, like, you know what I mean? Maybe not. But then in '89, one game, I remember going to Derby County. We had to beat Derby County to win the league. They were bottom of the league and going to get relegated. It was, we've done it. I can't believe it. I was in the pub like, we've done it. I'm going to the Arsenal now to see us win the league. Well, we lost 1-0. You know what I mean? Like, and then I then said, well, okay, I'm going to we got to beat Wimbledon. So like, you know what I mean? We drew. Now it's all gone. Then it come back. But that was the first time George Graham gave me the belief that I could see Arsenal win the league, and we've done it twice in 3 years after that. Fantastic. By the way, in 91, we should have probably won it in 92 as well, if I'll be honest. Again, a little bit disappointing from that point of view. But then Arsene Wenger come along, and you know, so we've been lucky to have experienced all that. But when you go through all those winning things and going through it like that, and then you see what's happening now, and people turning around and saying, "Well, it's fantastic, isn't it? We've come fifth behind Spurs." You know what I mean? Oh no. I was unhappy when we beat Southampton in the FA Cup. Like whether I'm right and whether I'm wrong, mediocrity is a thing that I've had back in the 80s and accepted it. I've gone through all these great things now, and I find it very, very hard to accept it. You know,
you don't want that taste back in your mouth, Lee.
I love it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, listen, when we beat Chelsea in the FA Cup, I've got a picture. I've got us all dancing in a pub. And I watch it every now and then, like, you know, I'm like a 15-year-old singing the Aaron Ramsey song, bumping all it down and all that, because I loved it. Arsenal had won a trophy, and I loved it. And there's no better feeling than winning trophies. It's just the greatest thing. It puts the players that have won them, like Kevin, on a pedestal that can never be taken away. That's the history of it all. And as a fan, I've been lucky. I played at good stand and all that. But as a fan, you was there. You know, you can turn around and say, you know, when Andy Lineker put that goal in 93, Kevin was on the pitch that day. How fantastic it was. But my memories are I was there that day. You know what I mean? Like getting home and whatever. And that's the greatest thing about being a fan. That memories with your mates, whatever. Like, you know, you go on to it. And listen, there's a lot of fans out there and that would listen to this and go, "Oh, you want to start supporting so and so and all that, like, you know what I mean?" Blah blah blah. But we've had those moments. A lot of Arsenal, you know, a lot of Arsenal fans, aren't they? Really, you know, like we're born into it. You know what I mean? Like Dan Potter's, you know, our great friend Dan. He, you know what I mean? He's been used to Arsenal winning since he was a kid. It weren't like that for me. Weren't like that for Kevin.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so you do appreciate it, like, you know, and it's not easy to win a trophy, but listen, I go back to those days and such fond memories, You know what Arsenal club do to you? They hurt me. They do hurt me, but
Lee,
I love them.
Lee, let me just say this to you, Sophie, and the squaddies, and you tell me what you think. Let me tell you, everyone, when we get successful again, really successful, because it will come, make sure you milk it.
Yeah.
Make sure you milk the photos, the videos. You capture those moments in photos. Make sure you get it all, because you know what? Lee will tell you, Sophie will tell you, I can tell you, you think it will never end. When you're going through it, you think it will never end because we got this one and that one. But all good things come to an end, unfortunately, and it's hard to get it back. It's so hard. So when we do get successful again, peeps, let's make sure we milk it as much as we can.
It's so right, you know what I mean? And just look at that photo there. All those players there, you know what I mean, were unbelievable. You know, like, you know, going back there, picture there of Ian Wright, I remember him, the game that he played against Newcastle. It's a game where we won 2-1 against Newcastle, and 2-0, I think. And he just absolutely scored the little ball and he flicked it over. But his work rate that day, and with you think Ian Wright was the greatest player and whatever, like, you know what I mean? You couldn't. He ran his socks off, and as a fan, that's all you. We'll endure that. We'll endure that all the time. You know what I mean? Like player like Ray Parlour, for instance, wasn't the greatest Arsenal player, but he's thought of that because you know what? He put his body on the line every single time, and as a fan, if I had the opportunity to play for Arsenal, I wouldn't shank it. Do you know what I mean? I would run my heart out for the Arsenal Football Club. You know what I mean? And you see these guys doing it. The righties, the Kevins. You know what I mean? Kevin Richardson used to do it. You know what I mean? Wasn't there? Like Nigel Winton, by the way. I watched the game the other night he was on. You know, like ferociously tackles flying. I tell you what the game was, Kev.
Competitive, mate.
Was the game against Liverpool. You know when Anders Limpar scored that goal from halfway there? If you ever see that goal,
4-0.
Yeah, do you remember that goal? But you go back there, go back and have a look at it, and the tackles flying in before that goal.
And the intensity of that game.
Putting their body on the line, you know, that's proper football. That was when it was. And that's why I think you can enjoy it, you know, because you look, you know what I mean? That was part of it, like, you know what I mean? Crunching tackle and all that. You don't see that so much now, like, you know what I mean? And that's why I think I enjoy football like I did. Spontaneous, you know, when you score a goal, whether it was offside or not, who cares? You know what I mean? It was much better than what it is now, as far as I'm concerned. So, you know, but like just great memories and of seeing these players diving in for tackles. Go back and have a look at the 2002 game, which is on Sky. If you've not, you just give yourself a little memory and just watch Patrick Vieira in that day, like, you know, and then turn around and say, oh, Partey is a great player. Yeah, he is a great player. But I'll tell you what, not in the same level. Not in the same level, you know. And that's where it is now. And it's not a criticism, it's just the way life is, like, you know what I mean? So and I'll tell you what, talking about Paul Davis there, I remember that game. I was there that day in the stands, you know what I mean? Like when he done that, like, you know, and no one really knows what happened that day. What it was for, but that
his book's coming out. His book.
Oh yeah, that'd be fantastic. We'll have to. If he doesn't put that in, I'll be disappointed.
he better put it in.
But what? And I just you know, with Paul Davis, I remember Paul Davis getting stick when he first played for the Arsenal.
Massive stick.
Poor Arsenal side, a 19-year-old kid, 18 years of age, coming into it. Gifted footballer.
Getting massive stick, Lee. I remember.
Massive stick. And he turned it around to be revealed it, you know, like unbelievable, like, you know what I mean?
I still think he's underrated.
Without a doubt. But appreciated by Arsenal fans.
Yes, 100%.
Yes. Yeah. But, you know, that just shows you the class, man. He turned it around, you know. So
I'll tell you what, Lee, many people forget his performance in the Cup Winners' Cup final.
Come back into the side, yeah. Number 14, if I remember. Was he number 14?
Yeah, we were depleted, remember? We were depleted badly. Paul Davis and Ian Selly in the centre of the pitch that day.
Yeah, awesome.
Paul Davis, my God.
You know, he had a great time in the. He played a fantastic games for Arsenal in that League Cups win in '87 as well. He was like unbelievable in that, like the ones at White Hart Lane, and even in the cup final played really, really well. Yeah. Brilliant. And I'll tell you what, you have a look at him. He was a skinny when he first got into the Arsenal side. You know what I mean? Like, and then you know, become a fantastic Arsenal player. Like, you know, fantastic.
We are so spoiled, which is
why
we complain. And we've been on air for an hour and 37 minutes. And let me tell you something.
You're kidding.
I feel like we could keep going forever and ever. But we will, because we love these kinds of shows where we just get together and talk. They're the best. Probably the last 38 minutes has been better than talking about the transfer window, you know. But this is the beauty and the history of our club, and this is why we need to keep these stories alive for the new generation. The new generation are making tracks and stories, creating their own songs. The older generation who've been there, seen it, done it, are not trying to tell you who to be or what to do. They just want you to also know the footprints of the history, where we came from, what we did, what we sang, who we were. And players like Super Kev also help keep that alive. What a brilliant show tonight, Kev.
Excellent. Really good. I mean, the flip-flops have been put aside now. It's been parked up.
Listen,
the nostalgia.
Back in those days, flip-flops weren't a thing, were they, really? They weren't trendy. Like,
no.
I mean, like,
you know, flip-flops then, mate. There was no
flip-flops now are trendy, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like...
this is why we're Arsenal, Lee, isn't it? This is why we're Arsenal, because we've got the history. We could talk
You
about
go down to the
which
seaside
side's
to
your
get a
best.
pound of them, wouldn't you?
You know, which side's the best? We've got so many teams who you can talk about, and
Right, you'd
so
argue
many
about it,
different
couldn't you?
areas.
Yeah.
You know, we've got that history. There's other teams who will say, well, you should swap with us. No, we've had moments like you, but we are not you because we're the Arsenal. We've got such
I'll tell you what, I've got to say this.
a
I've got to say,
fantastic history.
I met one of the greatest players that ever played for Arsenal a couple of weeks ago in Liam Brady. What a player he was.
Oh, yeah.
And what a gentleman.
God, what a gentleman. What Kev, one of the nicest blokes do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I ever met. He was like, you know, come over, had a chat, and you know,
Proper number 7 right there.
got a proper spoke about, you know, that cup final, by the way. He was he was awesome in that one. He like, you know what I mean? And what a player. What a player. You know,
Lee, did he drop any gems on you? Did he drop a gem on you about what happened at Arsenal? Did he drop one gem?
He told a couple of really good ones, like, you know what I mean. So and actually,
come on, do share.
Well,
do
no,
share,
you know, I can't say a lot on air because he was very, you know, very passionate about the Arsenal. You know what I mean, like, and what's going on today. So you know, like, yeah, it was forthright in his views. I can tell you that, like, you know what I mean, what he thinks of the Arsenal and what he does, but absolutely adores the club, like, you know what I mean, like, and his wife was lovely as well. She just sits there and talks about him as well, like, do you know what I mean? It's just wonderful, just sitting there,
he's a class
selling the stories, the Highbury stories, you know what I mean, like youth days and all that. Like, he was. I did ask him who was the best youth player that had come through. Like, you know what I mean? He was reluctant to say, like, you know what I mean? So, like, you know what I mean?
You're number 7, mate.
I said, who's the best number 7s? Like, you know what I mean? Like, can you name all the number 7s that have played for? And he could name them all. He could name, you know, he went back on the list of who had played 7 all the time. Like, you know, Kevin was mentioned, of course, you know what I mean? But, like, yeah, he'd be surprised how much he knew. And I'll tell you what, also played for the best Italian teams at the time, you know, when Italy football was like, you know, he was top there. And you know, he didn't go into details about money and all that, but like financially, Italy set him up for life, put it that way, like, you know what I mean? So that just shows you back in the day what it was like, you know what I mean? So
well, I think we may have found our co-host for next season's Be Kind Rewind show, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is what I love about our shows like Trip Down Memory Lane and Inside the Dressing Room. This is what they spawn. This is the side to the Highbury Squad you're going to see a lot more of next season outside of game day transfer talk, because the storytelling is what we have to keep alive. That's the beauty about collectibles. When people collect things and they move from one hand to another, it tells a new story. It travels in time, in history, and through our storytelling with each other on shows, in person, at the pub, we time travel through history. And Lee and Kev, when they get together, I'm telling you right now, some of the best stories you will ever hear.
We do have some laughs. We have some laughs. We got that great connection of the one thing is that we love the Arsenal. You know what I mean? Like, and
that's right.
It's that is the great thing. You know that. And I'll tell you what is a great thing, just before we go, is that when you talk to Liam Brady, who has gone and played for Juventus, which is a massive football club, and he's gone and played for West Ham, and he's done this and managed Celtic and whatever, like, you know, blah, 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 blah. Same as Kevin that's played there, and the Ian Wrights of this world, and the Nigel Winterburns. You talk to all of them. Paul Merson, believe it or not, you know, gets a lot of stick and all that. They love the Arsenal.
The Arsenal. That's right.
They love it.
No club like it, mate. Telling you.
All of them.
That was pretty loud firework. Yeah. It's a July 4 here. I think that's a sign for us to.
That's the cannon. Get out of here, like
that. Was Lee and Kev dropping the mic. What a brilliant show it has been today. Absolutely love you guys. Lee Judges, this is where the kids can find you these days, smashing it on your new channel. Not so new, but still new. But you guys are smashing it over there.
It's about
Anything
a year
you want
old
the
now.
troops
That
to
is
know?
just about a year old. That is, I think I'll have to check that, but we've been going just for a year now. About a year
Lovely.
now.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So please do subscribe to Lee Judges TV and, of course, Lee Mark Judges on Twitter as well. You'll be seeing more collabs from us and Lee's channel. We'll be back in London doing a fantastic Q&A as well next season. So please look out for that. Thanks to Gunner Balls for his wonderful art. And, of course, Mr. Super Kevin Campbell. That's all I have for you tonight. What a brilliant show, radio style. I'm just going to have Super Kev take us out before the fireworks just get too nuts here in the USA on July 4.
Well, squaddies, I'm not going to give you the flip-flop because,
Go on, Kev.
right, I've already used it enough tonight, and Lee's just made me have to park it up. Lee, thanks for coming on as always, mate. Yeah, you're a brilliant guest. You're a brilliant.
Been an absolute pleasure. Love it. Love it. Love my time on the Highbury Squad. Absolutely love it. Like, you know.
And fantastic, you squaddies. Sophie, I always call you the hostess with the mostest, darling, and you are. Always put on a great show. And you squaddies, we thank you for joining us. I hope the likes are up now, so don't let me have to reach for that flip-flop. We love you. And if you haven't hit the like button, after the salute, hit it on the way out. At ease, squaddies. We love you. At ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.